What's up, everyone? I wanted to do a quick follow-up on a live stream that I made earlier today on the death of 19-year-old student Kamrin Ray, who passed away suddenly in his dorm room earlier this week. In watching that video back, I realized I missed a significant key to this whole riddle, as I am apt to do from time to time. And this all has to do with the hall that Kamrin died in. It was reported that Kamrin Ray died in the Cobain Hall residence, which is conveniently photographed in the picture for Fox News. Now, it's uncommon for a student's death like this to make national media, but here we are reading about this on a national outlet. And what I noticed is that the name Cobain, as I mentioned in the video, has matching 44 ordinal gematria with the last name Ray. And once again, if you're new to the channel, we're looking at simple English gematria, a practice that takes the alphabetic order and applies a number to each letter 1 through 26. The reduction method, one of the base 4 methods in the lower left, uses the rules of numerology to reduce each double-digit number to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation. And Kamrin Ray died in Wisconsin, which is one of 2 states that has gematria of 44 in one of those 2 ciphers. This is a number connected to the kill code, and if you add the digits in the date he died, 4 plus 17 plus 23, it sums to 44. Well, Cobain Hall is where he died, and this equals 44. Now, this sounds a lot like another name that sums to 44. Nirvana singer Kurt Cobain, who died in 1994, his last name also has gematria of 44. Kurt Cobain reportedly died on April 5th of 1994, which happens to fall 44 days after his birthday. Now, the date that he died isn't confirmed. It is possible that he actually died on April 4th, which of course is the date written 4-4. And Nirvana was from Seattle, Washington. Notice how when you add that to United States of America, it sums to 440, a lot like 44. And here we're talking about the death of a student named Kamrin Ray. The name Kamrin Ray has matching gematria with Nirvana, both 110 and 47 in reduction. Of course, with the reverse methods, we're simply flipping the alphabet backwards so that Z is assigned 1, Y is 2, through A is 26, with the same rules of numerology for reduction. So if you measure between the deaths of Kurt Cobain and Kamrin Ray, you get 10,604 days. These are the same 3 digits found in the ordinal gematria of Kurt's full name, Kurt Donald Cobain, 164. Now, once again, Kurt died in Seattle, Washington. And think about how we're talking about the death of a man named Ray. The name Ray equals 19. And he died on a date with numerology of 19. Well, consider how in Seattle, or the Seattle metropolitan area, is where the first case of COVID-19 was discovered in the United States. My last video discussed the COVID-19 vaccine, which was approved on the date of a total solar eclipse in 2020. Well, on the date that the coronavirus was declared a pandemic, Kamrin Ray was 16 years and 40 days old. Again, the 164. And remember, the corona is the name of the sun's atmosphere, which is only visible during a total solar eclipse. Kurt Cobain, who died in the year 1994, was born on the 20th of February in the year 67. And notice how the phrase total solar eclipse sums to 994, 202, and 67 reduced. The 994 value is pulled from the standard method, which numbers the alphabet similar to ancient Hebrew gematria, 1 through 9, 10 through 90, and 100 through 800. These are also similar numbers found in coronavirus pandemic, 220 ordinal. Remember, 2020 was the year where it all began. In reduction, COVID-19 equals 67. So does the word satanic. And 67 also happens to be the 19th prime number. COVID-19, the death of a 19-year-old student here. Kurt Cobain's girlfriend at the time of his alleged suicide was named Courtney Love. The death of Kamrin Ray was announced by the president of Marquette University, whose name is Michael Lovell, or Lavelle. But either way, he's got the name Love in his last name. And I thought it was interesting that the birthday given for Mike Lavelle is exactly 1 month after Kurt Cobain, March 20th of 1967. Kurt Cobain, born on February 20th of that same very year. So as I mentioned, this is all connected to the eclipse code. Both eclipse and rockstar equal 33. In standard gematria, 33 sums to 1515. And Kamrin Ray, whose name kind of sounds similar off the tongue as Kurt Cobain, same stressed syllables, both their first names unusually begin with a K. Measuring between their deaths is exactly 1,515 weeks apart. And remember, the gematria of 33 matches ritual human sacrifice in Latin. So we talked at length about this 2020 eclipse, which, once again, was the same exact date, December 14th, 2020, that the FDA announced its COVID vaccine approval. On the date of that eclipse, Kurt Cobain would have been exactly 2,808 weeks old. This is a number connected to Marquette University, as it was founded on the 28th of August, or 28/8. The Pope's real name, the first Jesuit Pope, Jorge Bergoglio, his name sums to 288 with capital letters. So let's bring this all together. I mentioned this number briefly in my last video, but it deserves a lot more attention. The number 122. Measuring from that vaccine eclipse over Argentina, which is the home of Pope Francis, Kamrin Ray died exactly 122 weeks later. His death also fell a span of 122 days after the birthday of Pope Francis, whose name sums to 122 in ordinal. On the day he died, Kamrin Ray was 1,002 weeks and 2 days old. 122. Pope Francis gets his papal name from Saint Francis of Assisi, just like the city of San Francisco, which also equals 122, a city which sits on the 122nd meridian. Kurt Cobain died exactly 1,220 weeks before the first Great American Eclipse, which entered the nation just south of Washington, where he died. In fact, the day his body was found also had primary numerology of 122. And just like San Francisco, Seattle is also on the 122nd Western Meridian. When Kurt Cobain was born, Pope Francis was even 11,022 days old. Now, earlier, we pointed out the gematria of the word satanic. One could argue that the Catholic Church, and particularly a lot of the agendas being pushed by the mainstream media it has a hand in, is very satanic. And in reverse gematria, the word satanic also sums to 122. In Latin gematria, satanic sums to 244, which happens to be the first multiple of 122. Kamrin Ray died 244 days before the Pope's birthday. And once again, the gematria of 19 in that same Latin cipher, 244, like kill in Hebrew. Kamrin's death was on the 107th day of the year, which matches ritual sacrifice in reverse. In standard reverse, ritual sacrifice equals 251. And look at how old Kurt Cobain would have been on the date Kamrin Ray died. 20,510 days old. This is also 56 years and 56 days. And once again, we're looking at Kurt Cobain to the death of Kamrin Ray. 56 years and 56 days after this 251. Not only was Kamrin Ray born on a date with primary numerology of 56, but this is the gematria that Society of Jesus shares with both total eclipse and coronavirus, all 56. If you instead convert this measurement to weeks, you get exactly 2,930 weeks, Cobain's age, on the death of Kamrin Ray. Well, the coronavirus pandemic was declared a national emergency by Donald Trump on March 13th, or the 13th of March. Consider how coronavirus equals 1303, just like how the date would be written. But March 13th is the date that leaves 293 days in the year. And in gematria, coronavirus pandemic sums to 293. In reverse reduction, notice how coronavirus pandemic equals 113. And when the World Health Organization declared the pandemic, it was the 11th of March in the year 2020. And think about how those numbers are found directly in the gematria of coronavirus pandemic, 113 and 220. It was ortho coronavirinae, which allegedly causes the virus or the disease, another 220. And we had Donald John Trump, whose name equals 220. 22 is the master builder number in numerology. Master builder number equals 220. But it was Operation Warp Speed that got the vaccines out to the public. Notice this is another 220. But back to the 113. This is a number associated with lies. Perjury sums to 113. So does not true. Not honest, 113 reverse. I could go on all day with these. Something my viewers are very familiar with. But if you measure from the date that Donald Trump declared a COVID-19 emergency to the death of Kamrin Ray, you get exactly 1,130 days. And remember, he was born on the 31st of January, 31/1. The World Health Organization declared the pandemic on 11/3. And when that pandemic was declared, look how old Kurt Cobain would have been. Actually, this is measuring from his death. My apologies. From Cobain's death to the COVID pandemic, 311 months and 1 week exactly. So once again, what is going on at these universities? I think Marquette costs over like $50,000 a year or something to attend. And is it really worth it? Well, that's for you guys to decide. But that'll do it for this video. Thanks for tuning in once again. Peace, love, God bless, and talk to you next time. See ya.